Well, the growing season is in full swing, and that means from time to time we get to take the show on the road. And today we're in North Tulsa at Cox Gardens, and we're visiting with Mr. Cleo Cox, owner and operator of Cox Gardens. And Cleo, thanks for having us come to town here. Now, when we drove in, I was astonished at the number of daylilies and colors that we see here. And you tell me you have over 100,000 clumps of daylilies.
That's true.
My goodness. What do you do with your gardens here and the daylilies, Cleo?
Well, I have a hybridizing program where I am trying to develop rebloomers of different colors and that will not only be beautiful but will repeat over and over after the initial bloom.
Because traditionally daylilies only bloom in a day, right? Is that why they have their name? Tell us about the habit of a traditional bloom then.
Well, the daylilies come in all different sizes, and usually they bloom about the time it gets good daylight, or maybe an hour later. Mm-hmm. But there are some that start blooming early in the evening and stay open nights.
Okay, and those you refer to as nocturnals. Okay, and we've got a couple of yellow ones you pointed out throughout the garden too. So they'll start blooming in the evening and go through the night, sometimes into the next day, I guess, right, too. Now, you also tell me that you have some miniature types. What makes a miniature daylily?
Well, they are just genetically smaller. This year, though, they are a little taller than normal, but the flowers are about the same.
Okay. And when you say taller, you mean the flower spike is elongated more, and why would that be then, Cleo?
The excessive moisture and also reaching for light.
Because of all the cloud and cool spring weather we've had. Okay. Now, you mentioned genetics. There's actually some differences between some of these daylilies that has an impact on how you cross us, and you've got them divided up in planting areas. Tell us about that.
Well, the standard daylily has 22 chromosomes, but through the use of chemicals several generations ago, and most of them, they have converted some of the more beautiful ones to tetraploids, which have 44 chromosomes.
Okay, and you're not able to cross the two different ones, right?
You could cross, but it would end up in a mule. It would be a flower that would never reproduce itself.
Okay. Now, you're wholesale and retail, Cleo, but one of the things that I've noticed too with all your different ones, you've got some planted in shade, and that's a little unusual in many cases, but the darker color, you tell me there's a reason for that.
Yes. The hot sun causes some of the dark reds and purples to slick over.
Okay, which fade out a little bit, yes. And with like afternoon shade, you still get the bright color and not as much fading. Okay. Now, what about just general growing conditions? What do you recommend for the homeowner to use?
Just any good garden soil will produce beautiful daylilies, but they will respond to a rich organic soil. And of course, from now on the rest of the summer, the key thing will be water.
Right. Now, we also talked about the fact that they can be sold as a xeriscape plant that doesn't require a lot of water, and you helped me understand that better too. Why was that?
They have little storage organs where they will store moisture so that they don't go under stress in extremely hot weather.
Well, Cleo, the other thing, in addition to the just hundreds and hundreds of cultivars or varieties that you have here, I noticed you also branch out a little bit into some other perennials. Now, I found some things that were for shade gardens. Tell us about a couple of things you pointed out to me in a shade garden in addition to daylilies.
Probably the thing that most people find here that I have more of is ferns, but also have lots of bleeding hearts.
Okay. And hardy begonia, right?
Hardy begonias.
And what's so unique about it?
Well, it will stand through the winter without having to be taken inside, and it also drops seed, which becomes seedlings.
Okay, and then it has a traditional begonia flower,
yes,
too, so very interesting beautiful. For the shade. Now, another plant that caught my attention were some cannas that were variegated. Tell me about the story on those.
Well, I ordered my first little canna bulb about 20 years ago, and was very disappointed because it was so small. But since then I've increased it into tens of thousands over a 20-year period. And the great thing about it, the foliage is beautiful enough to put in floral arrangements, and the flower itself is beautiful, but before the flower blooms out, it can be substituted in floral arrangements for bird of paradise.
Okay. And the flower is actually a yellowish color with some silver markings, you told me.
Silver stripe.
And it's hardy too, is
Very
that right?
hardy.
Okay, now the other things that are very unusual that I found were a couple of other things that bloom in yellow flowers. One is a hibiscus and one is a dianthus. How about those two?
They are both new. The hibiscus, this is the first time I've seen it in the catalog, and since I'm always looking for newer plants, well, I tried it, and it's blooming from seed.
Okay, and it looks almost like a tropical type, but it's hardy. And then what about the dianthus?
Yes, it also blooms the second year from seed.
Okay, so it's hardy as well with a true yellow flower, which is very unusual for a dianthus. And then in the back 40, as you called it, you have just hundreds and hundreds of irises. Now we've missed the iris bloom, but you still have a few late ones that are called Louisiana. Tell us about those too.
Well, the Louisiana is second to daylily as far as being a plant that thrives on neglect, you might say. They will grow either in raised beds or they will grow in a swamp, as you see back behind. And the fact that this was a very wet year seemed to work out in their favor.
And probably just spectacular color. And even the ones that are left are still very colorful and bright. Well, Cleo, I tell you, we have really enjoyed visiting with you. You've got some new things, some unusual ones. Now, I asked you this earlier, and I'm going to ask you again to see if you've changed your mind. What is your favorite daylily?
No, it's still the one that I happen to be looking at.
Okay. I thought we might catch you off guard there, and I can understand why. There's so many to look at. Well, Cleo, thank you very much. And I tell you, if you are interested in daylilies, this is one of the places you want to put on your visits this summer, and it's Cox Garden in North Tulsa. Thanks again, Cleo.
Thank you.